Welcome back to Learn Python for Economic Computation. Today we're going to be going through a little bit more for loops. We're going to look at counting by twos, or really by any number, including negative numbers, or in other words backward. We're also going to take a look at cycling through a list instead of through the index of a list through the list elements themselves. So let's start out by looking at counting. So we have our lists that we had been working with before. Okay. And then we're going to make list 3, and what we're going to do with list 3 is we're going to sum up every other element in the list. So we're going to sum up element 0, 2, and 4 from list 1 and 2. So it's going to look like a partial list of the list 3 that we'd made previously. Okay, so we know how many elements are in the list. Let's why don't we make k again, length list 2, make sure they're the same length. We know they will be, but this is just kind of good to remember what that does. So before we were just saying for I in range j, which implicitly was for I in range 0 through j, but we've added this last number here too, and what this is going to do is it's going to count by twos from 0 to j minus 1. Okay? So we're going to go 0 to 4. Okay, and since it's only through 5, because that's 6 long, then it'll stop at 4. So let's append to I and then we'll remember lists not the same length, and we'll leave it at that this time. That's sufficient. Okay, let's print list 3. The result is that we get 11, 11, 8 on list 3. Okay, and we can print list 1 and 2 with this. Why not? List 1. There we go. Then you can see 5 plus 6 is 11. Skip to the next one. 9 plus 2 is 11. Skip to the next one. 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay. So we summed the 0th, the 2nd, and the 4th elements. Okay, next, let's actually go through a list. So we're going to cycle through list elements, not the index. Okay, and so we're going to create a list. We're going to call this list, well, let's just call it list 4 since we're creating lists here. We're going to call this a few words to print. So I could say for I in length list 4, call list 4I. But it's a lot easier if I just say for x in list 4, print x. And now watch what happens. This a few words to print, one at a time, is getting printed here. Okay. So it's really convenient, instead of doing the for I in range, to just cycle through the list, for X in list, and it gets you the result with less work. Okay. Really useful to be able to use this for loop without having to index. Okay. And so let's do this. Let's duplicate list 4. I'm going to call this list 4 copy. We'll make a blank list. Instead of printing X, we're going to list 4 copy dot append X. Now when we print list 4 copy, well, let's print list 4. Then we're going to print list 4 copy. And we're going to end up with this result: a few words to print here, and a few words to print. Okay, so we had list 4 with a few words to print, and when we copied it, we got a few words to print. We copied it just by copying the element in list 4 instead of calling the index to extract the element. Okay. All right, next class, or next lesson, we're going to look at sorting lists, errors and exceptions. We got not too many more lessons left in this chapter. See you then.